First and foremost, just offering all honors, praises, respect, acknowledgement, and thanks to the great King of the universe, to the God of our fathers, to the God of Abraham, the God of Yitzchak, and the God of Yaakov. Thanking him for all things and everything. I bid you in the tongue of our forefathers, Shabbat Shalom L'kol.
Shabbat Shalom L'kol.
Please be seated. Y'all ain't see that. I ain't see that. Thanking the Most High God for life. Thanking him for strength. Thanking him for food, clothing, and shelter. Thanking the Most High God because he is good and his mercy endures forever. Thanking him for my life. Thanking him for the lives of my family. Thanking him for your lives and the lives of your families. He is good. Thanking him for the life of my teacher, Hamore Mishael ben Yisrael. So we're going to be going through the book of Joshua. I'm going to be doing chapters 19 through 21. It's a lot of reading, so we will touch on a couple of different things that we'll speak at length about. But it is a lot of reading, so I just want to prepare y'all for that. So one of the things that I want to talk about, and I know Chief Uziel touched on this morning, the situation with Usher and Keke Palmer and that whole situation. And I know what happens is when situations like this come up, everybody has their own assessment on who's right and who's wrong and what could have been done better and what should have been done better. My take from that entire situation is something that I think the world needs to learn to do, which is to keep your personal business personal. Because there are certain conversations and things that need to take place, and that's what homes are made for, to make sure that those conversations take place there. And as soon as you turn a situation public and invite people into your business, then you now need to be prepared for whatever's going to come from all of that backlash that's going to come from you inviting people into your business by making your personal situation a public spectacle. And I know there's been a lot of talk around about how women are now looking for men to be men and stand up as men and all of those different things. You hear a lot of talk like that. And for you as a man to just put all your personal business out there like that, it just doesn't look good at all. So if it's anything that we can take from that, let's just learn to keep our personal business personal. We can deal with things in-house, but I want to be clear to make sure to make the distinction between the two. There's a such thing as your personal business, which is what happens in your house or wherever it happens, but then when your personal business begins to spill over into affecting other people, then sometimes the community needs to get involved. And I want to make sure that I make a clear distinction between the two, because I know for a long time it's been talked about, in some places taught, it's been the norm that like things like domestic violence or child abuse, no, that's my personal business. No, that is not your personal business. That's community business. So I just want to make sure that I make a clear distinction between the two. Before we're supposed to do chapter 19, 20, and 21. I just want to have him read chapter 18, verses 1 through 3. And I know Chief Naphtali went through this last week, and I know he did an excellent job going through this last week. I just want to read chapter 18, verses 1 to 3, because that actually leads into chapter 19 where it starts about talking about the second lot.
Joshua chapter 18, verse 1 through 3. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. And the whole congregation of the children of Israel assembled themselves together at Shiloh and set up the tent of meeting there. And the land was subdued before them. And there remained among the children of Israel 7 tribes, which had not yet received their inheritance. And Joshua said unto the children of Israel, How long are ye slack to go and to possess the land which Jehovah the God of your fathers hath given you?
So the reason that I wanted to touch on that, one, because they talk about those 7 tribes. Later on in 18, they talk about Benjamin being the first of those 7. And then in chapter 19, it's going to start talking about with the second lot, starting with Simeon. But one of the things that I wanted to touch on in relation to that is when we did Joshua chapters 13 and 14, remember, that was the conversation where Caleb came up and Caleb said, look, this is taking too long. And when you do the math, it's been like about 5 years since they were in the land and they still hadn't inherited yet. So now what happened is, at this point, it seems like they had gone through all of the territory and dispossessed, to the degree that they did, all of the people. And so now Joshua is saying, well, we already dispossessed the people. How long are you going to be slack to go up and possess the land which God gave you? Right. So what seems to have happened is, even though they went and they had dispossessed everybody and the land was basically clear with the exception of the pockets of people here and there, it seems like they were still comfortable in those set encampments in which they were going around, and did not want to take the initiatives to go and take the thing that God had already allotted for them to get. And so as we talk about those things, and it's something that Sister Malka literally just said that I think is important. She said, you know, death is a part of life, but then there's life after death, meaning things need to go on. And the steps need to be taken, and because that's a certain part of life, but you still need to go on. You still need to go out. You still need to do the other things that you need in order to survive, and so on and so forth. And so here they seem to have gotten stuck. And so Joshua was telling them, listen, go out. And what he told them in verse 4, which we're not going to get into, is he sent out 3 men from every tribe to go out and survey it. So this was different from the spies going out. This is them going out, looking at all of the land, taking the assessment of the tribes that were left, the 7 tribes that were left, the land that was left, and they literally went out and surveyed and broke up all of the land into parts for the 7 tribes. And you're going to see that there were some adjustments here and there, but that's what these men went out to do, is to go make those, to survey the land. And now we're going to pick it up in 19.
Chapter 19, verse 1, hallelujah. And the second lot came out for Shimon, even for the tribe of the children of Shimon, according to their families. And their inheritance was in the midst of the inheritance of the children of Yehudah.
And I just want to stop them there. And can you go to Genesis 49? Because it was something... 49, yeah. It was something that... It was what seemed to be a very kind of just abstract statement that was made by Jacob that was actually prophecy that they didn't realize until now. If you can read chapter 49, verses 5 through 7.
Shimon and Levi are brethren, weapons of violence their kinship. Let my soul not come into their council. Unto their assembly let my glory not be united. For in their anger they slew men, and in their self-will they hewed oxen. Cursed be their anger, for it was fierce, and their wrath, for it was cruel. I will divide them in Jacob and scatter them in Yisrael.
And that was a statement that Jacob made just from seeing his sons and knowing his children and so on and so forth. And that statement, seemingly harmless statement that Jacob made, is exactly what happened. Because the tribe of Levi, even though it was turned into a blessing, the tribe of Levi was what? Scattered throughout the tribes. Simeon, he didn't have his own portion per se. He had his portion within the tribe of Judah. Just to show you the power that parents have over your life is just amazing.
That's a fact.
And sometimes I don't think we really think about it. I don't think we really understand the power that God gives to parents.
That's
I
right.
believe us as people, what we do is because we become grown and we become mature, we feel like our parents don't understand the things that we understand in our 20 and 30 and even 40 years of life. But God gave us those parents for a reason. And like, I know, like, even when I have certain conversations, when I tell you my mother is she's very, very frustrated sometimes, as most parents probably are. But then again, I know when my children talk to me sometime, they probably feel like this guy's incredulous, this guy's impossible. It's just what happens. But one of the things that you know for sure is that your parents have your best interests in mind, and you need to understand that and accept the wisdom that God gave them in order to impart unto you, because that part is important. That part is important. Come on.
Verse 2. And they had for their inheritance Be'er Sheba with Sheba, and Moladah and Hazar Shu'al, and Bala and Edzem, and El Tolad and Betul, and Hormah and Ziklag, and Beit Makarbot, and Hazar Susa, and Beit Lebaot, and Sharuhen. 13 cities with their villages. Ain, Rimon, and Eter, and Ashan, 4 cities with their villages, and all the villages that were round about these cities, to Baalat Be'er, as far as Ramah of the south. This is the inheritance of the tribe of the children of Shimon, according to their families. Out of the allotment of the children of Yehudah was the inheritance of the children of Shimon, for the portion of the children of Yehudah was too much for them. Therefore, the children of Shimon had inheritance in the midst of their inheritance.
All right, so I'm just going to jump in right here just to kind of give them a rest, because I know you're going to do a lot of reading. One thing that to note about the cities that belong to Shimon, one of those cities in there is Ziklag. What do we know about Ziklag? That was literally the city of David before the city of David became the city of David.
Right.
So even though that was in the tribe of Simeon, it was actually a stronghold for David for a very long time. Come on.
And the third lot came up for the children of Zebulun, according to their families. And the border of their inheritance was unto Sarid. And their border went up westward even to Marala, and reached to Dabesh Shate, and it reached to the brook that is before Yokneam. And it turned from Sarid eastward toward the sun rising unto the border of Kislot Tabor, and it went out to Dobrat, and went up to Yaphia. And from thence it passed along eastward to Gat Hefer, to Eight Kazin, and it went out Rimon Methoar unto Neah. And the border turned about it on the north to Hanaton, and the goings out thereof were at the valley of Iftael, and Katah, and Nahalal, and Shimron, and Idala, and Beit Lechem, 12 cities with their villages. This is the inheritance of the children of Zebulun, according to their families, these cities with their villages.
So later on, when we get to chapter 21, I'm just going to have them put up a quick map of what the allotment is of the tribes, just to really touch on the Levitical cities portion of it. But so Judah was in the south. Simeon was in the south, and one of the things that it already indicated was that Judah, who was the biggest tribe, who should have gotten the biggest inheritance, which it makes sense. But when Judah went out, it seemed like they just took way too much. So as they took way too much, now that Simeon comes in, one of the things that you're going to see is Simeon's portion starts to is included in Judah's portion. But the other thing that comes into play is that a lot of the cities that were originally allotted to Judah ended up becoming, there was a couple of cities that went to Dan. There was a couple of cities that went to Ephraim, who was right there above Judah, and a couple of cities that went to Benjamin. Come on.
Verse 17. The fourth lot came out for Yissaschar, even for the children of Yissaschar, according to their families. And their border was Yezreel, and Kisulot, and Shunem, and Haphraim, and Shion, and Anaharat, and Rabit, and Kishion, and Ebez, and Remet, and Ein Ganim, and Ein Hada, and Beit Pazez. And the border reached to Tabor and Shachazim, and Beit Shemesh. And the goings out of their border were at the Jordan. 16 cities with their villages. This is the inheritance of the tribe of the children of Yissaschar, according to their families, the cities with their villages.
So one of the things about the tribe of Yissaschar was on the easternmost part of the land towards the Jordan, right bordering the Jordan River. Come on.
And the fifth lot came out for the tribe of the children of Asher, according to their families. And their border was Helkat, and Hali, and Beten, and Akshaph, and Alam Melech, and Amad, and Mishal. And it reached to Carmel westward, and to Shehor Libnat. And it turned toward the sun rising to Beit Dagon, and reached to Zebulun and to the valley of Iftael, northward at Beit Emek and Neiel. And it went out to Kabul on the left hand, and Ebron and Rehob and Hamon and Kana, even unto the great Zidon. And the border turned to Ramah and to the fortified city of Tyre. And the border turned to Chosa, and the goings out thereof were at the sea from Hebel to Akzi, Umah also, and Aphek, and Rehob, 22 cities with their villages. This is the inheritance of the tribe of the children of Asher, according to their families, these cities with their villages.
So Asher, the lot for Asher actually fell on the western border, right at the Mediterranean Sea. And so when you look at those maps, when you see the map where Lebanon is now, some of that part of Lebanon actually belongs to Israel. And then, but right where, and they mention it here, where Tyre starts, which was a major city, major Phoenician city, that's actually where the Phoenicians started going up. But there's a portion of Lebanon that actually belongs to the children of Israel, and that was Asher's portion. Come on.
The sixth lot came out for the children of Naphtali, even for the children of Naphtali according to their families. And their border was from Cheleph, from Elon Bezanim, and Adami Nekeb, and Yabniel, and unto Lakum. And the goings out thereof were at the Jordan. And the border turned westward to Aznot Tabor, and went out from thence to Hukok. And it reached to Zebulun on the south, and reached to Asher on the west, and to Yehuda at the Jordan toward the sun rising. And the fortified cities were Zidim Zer, and Hamat, and Rakat, and Kinneret, and Adama, and Ramah, and Hazor, and Kadesh, and Edrei, and Ain Hazor, and Edom, and Migdalel, and Hodem, and Beit Anat, and Beit Shemesh, 19 cities with their villages. This is the inheritance of the tribe of the children of Naphtali, according to their families, the cities with their villages.
And when you look at the tribe of Naphtali, what you see is Naphtali was the most northern border of Israel on the west side of the Jordan until the Danites actually went up and went a little further, because the border actually goes to Mount Hermon, which is, you know, the interesting part about Mount Hermon, which if you got to go to Israel, when you see it, like I went to Israel when I went, it was April, so it was spring. But what you actually see when you look at Mount Hermon, when you see it in the distance, and it's deceptively far. But when you actually look at it in the distance, you actually still see the snow covering the top of the mountain. And what happens is that the snow covers the top of the mountain as it starts to come down, then it starts to come and run, and then it runs into the Kinneret Sea, which now they call the Sea of Galilee. But it's actually a really beautiful place, and I caution, not caution, but I tell you, at least go just one time in your life, because we never know what God is going to do, but I'm telling you, you have to see it, and you have to be in the place that God said that he keeps his eyes on from the beginning of the year all the way to the end. I encourage you to go see it. It's a really, really beautiful place. People not so nice, but very beautiful place. Then again, the people not so nice here either. So, you know what I mean, 6 in one, half a dozen in the other. Come on. Verse
40. The seventh lot came out for the tribe of the children of Dan.
Make sure you read this slow. Don't rush through this. Don't rush through this.
Verse 49. The seventh lot came out for the tribe of the children of Dan, according to their families. And the border of their inheritance was Zorah, and Eshtaol, and Ir Shemesh, and Sha'alabim, and Ajalon, and Itla, and Elon, and Timnah, and Ekron, and El-Teke, and Gibeton, and Baalak, and Yehud, and Bnei Barak, and Gat Rimon, and Miyarkon, and Rakon, with the border over against Yopa.
Okay, so just hold on right there. So anybody know what happened in Ayalon?
The sun.
You still got it, don't you? You still got it. That was when they had the battle, and it said it was starting to get dark, and Joshua said, "Sun stand still, moon stand still." That was where it was. It was over Ayalon. So anybody know what happened in Joppa? Isn't that where Jonah went? Jonah, right? It said, right, when God told Jonah to, and just to think about how disrespectful Jonah was. Assyria is all the way at the northeastern border of Israel. Joppa is at the central, southern, western border of Israel. God told Jonah to go to Assyria. Jonah went down and all the way down and caught a boat from Joppa. That's how I know my people when I see them. That's how I know my people when I hear about them. Because we go to the ends of the earth just to completely be wrong before God.
That's a fact. That's a fact.
Come on.
And the border of the children of Dan was too straight for them. So the children of Dan went up and fought against Leshem, and took it and smote it with the edge of the sword, and possessed it and dwelt therein, and called Leshem Dan, after the name of Dan their father. This is the inheritance of the tribe of the children of Dan according to their families, these cities with their villages.
Come on.
When they had made an end of distributing the land for inheritance, by the borders thereof, the children of Israel gave an inheritance to Joshua the son of Nun in the midst of them. According to the commandment of Yahweh, they gave him the city which he asked, even Timnath Serah in the hill country of Ephraim, and he built the city and dwelt therein.
Can you read that again? Because I think that this is very, very interesting. Read that again.
When they had made an end of distributing the land for inheritance,
Okay.
by the borders thereof, the children of Israel gave an inheritance to Joshua the son of Nun in the midst of them.
Just think about that, right? Everybody else got their land. Everybody got their land. They was settled. They was comfortable. And then Joshua, who was the leader, got his last.
Talk about that.
Just think about that. Because I think oftentimes we don't have a solid understanding of what leadership is and what leadership means. Leadership doesn't mean we get all the perks of everything without doing the work. Leadership typically means you're the first one there and the last one to leave.
Right.
That's what leadership means. Leadership means you don't feel comfortable to sit and relax until everybody who you are responsible for is well taken care of. And so I just think that for us as a people, there's Torah, right? And then there are principles to Torah that aren't always so out there that you can just very easily see. And this is one of those principles to Torah that I think that we need to take hold on, because I believe if we as a people, if we and when we begin to start implementing more of the principles of Torah along with following Torah, I think we'll be a little bit further along. And we're going to touch on that a little bit later, but I just found that very interesting that after everybody else got their land, that's when Joshua got his, because that's when the job was done. Just think about that. Come on.
According to the commandment of Yahweh, they gave him the city which he asked, even Timnath Serah in the hill country of Ephraim, and he built the city and dwelt therein.
Now, mind you, he already had it picked out.
Right.
He made sure that nobody else went and claimed that. He had it picked out, but it didn't become his. He didn't officially get it until after everyone else got theirs. Come on.
These are the inheritances which Eleazar the priest and Joshua the son of Nun and the heads of the fathers' houses of the tribes of the children of Israel distributed for inheritance by lot in Shiloh before Yahweh at the door of the tent of meeting. So they made an end of dividing the land.
Amen. Come on.
Chapter 20. And Yahweh spoke unto Joshua, saying, Speak to the children of Israel, saying, Assign you the cities of refuge, whereof I spoke unto you by the hand of Moshe.
So now, hold on a second. So now, this portion about the cities of refuge is actually also covered in next week's portion in Masay, which I'm scheduled to do. So I'm not going to go too far into it, but I did find something that was very interesting that I read this time that I haven't read in any of the other times that I read it before. And that's the thing about Torah. That's the thing about God. You never really stop learning. Every time you read something over and over, you always get something new, because what it is if your mindset has been growing over the last since the last time you read something or did something, if you've been growing, your mind has been opening up and you've been able to see things better. You've been able to see things more because you're growing and you're maturing. Come on.
that the man say that killeth any person through error and unawares may flee thither. And they shall be unto you for a refuge for the avenger of blood.
Come on.
And he shall flee unto one of those cities, and shall stand at the entrance of the gate of the city, and declare his cause in the ears of the elders of that city. And they shall take him into the city unto them, and give him a place that he may dwell among them.
Hold on. So, this is not written in Numbers or in Deuteronomy. What it says here is, so we know about the city of refuge, and everybody has the privilege, the opportunity to be able to flee to the city of refuge if you kill somebody by mistake or whatever it is. Everybody has the opportunity to flee to the city of refuge. But what it says here is, it says, and he shall flee to one of the cities and shall stand at the entrance of the gate and declare his cause to the elders of the city. That means that they just don't come and just take you in just because you there. That means when you get there, they ask you, okay, before we let you in, you need to explain to us what happened. Why? So we can decide if we're going to let you in. Right. What you do. Tell us what happened. And again, this doesn't take the place of the trial that you're still going to have. But what this is this is you coming and you explaining yourself before they even let you in. As soon as you get there.
Right.
It's one of those principles of Torah that I think that we need to consider. Because how often do people leave one place and go to another place and you leave mayhem? You leave mayhem behind where you left from. And you go and you get a new start and don't nobody ask you anything?
Nothing.
I could tell by how y'all responses that y'all feel a way about that I feel a way about that. And then, so what happens then? When you leave one place, you go to another place, and you left mayhem and carnage and all of that stuff behind, you go to another place, they don't ask any questions because to them, all you are is just another 10%. And they let you in, and now the people from this place where you've left carnage, now they feel a way not only about you, but they feel a way about that place. I'm just asking, tell me if I'm off base. Tell me if I'm going too far. Because these are some of the things that we implement. If we implemented, we would be better off. Because we need to find out if you've been a staple member or a long-time member in a place and you leave, somebody need to be able to ask some questions.
That's a fact.
Why you leave D.C.B? You been there, right? Say this. You back? I see you back. I see you back. She said, "Why you leave in the middle of the night?" With all your stuff. You know what? I feel like just letting you come and deal with this part because I think you got this on point right now. But just think about that. And this is not in what we would call Torah. So that means that principle and good practice and certain things, everything isn't clearly articulated from Genesis to Deuteronomy.
That's right.
Because it says that they're going to ask him, and he has to declare his cause in the city of in the ears of the elders. That's right. People who are going to sit and guess what? After you declare your cause, they're going to ask you some questions.
That's a fact.
Because they know if somebody is coming after you, they coming after you for a reason.
Right.
And what they don't want to do is, one, they don't want to be in the harm's way of people, but more important, they don't want to be in the harm's way of who? God. No, God. Because one of the things that I think if we all really took this to heart, we would be in a better place. Listen, hear me. You cannot cause mayhem all week, and then come to God's house and expect that God's going to be with that holy assembly with you in it.
That's a fact.
Think about what happened with Kophni and Pinchas. What Kophni and Pinchas did was the people brought their offerings and they tried to do the right thing. And the people brought their offerings, and Kophni and Pinchas didn't deal with their offerings the right way.
Right.
And God said the people's offerings weren't accepted.
Yep.
Because you messed it up for everybody. And that's what happens. And that's why when I started off earlier, when I said, yeah, personal is personal, but listen, there's some things that you can't be out in the street as a hellraiser and then come here for us to have to now deal with your problems.
Right.
And have to deal with your problems. Because if your problems are such that, and I'm just going to bring it down on a regular level. If you a street dude, right? You a street dude, and you cause havoc in the street, and you have strings on, they looking for everybody with strings on, not just you. Not just you. We need to understand that we, by our actions, are responsible to each other. By our actions. Because if you don't want to act right for you, then act right for somebody else. Act right for somebody that you care about. I know for us, when we were younger, one of the biggest reasons after I got in trouble as many times as I did, one of the things that I needed to stop doing was making sure that I stopped bringing the police to my mother's house. My brother needed to learn to stop bringing the police to my mother's house. And that's just on a regular level. That's not even talking about God. That's not even talking about God yet. Because I know we have this misconception about God, that God accepts everything, and that's a religious concept, because God does not. God made certain things clear in Isaiah when he said things like, who required you to trample my courts? When God said things like, I wish that there was somebody who would just close the doors.
That's right.
God said things like, why am I just drawing a blank here? He who turns away his ear from hearing the law, even his prayer will be an abomination. God said that.
That's right.
God said that. And so what I'm saying is, if you, for whatever reason, can't get yourself together for you, listen, get yourself together for somebody else. It got to be somebody that you care about. It got to be somebody who means something to you, where you say, you know what, I need to get myself together for them.
Right.
I know as parents, one of the things that changed us a lot as being parents is becoming parents. Because we realized that as parents, we're now responsible for other people who can't take care of themselves. So you know what that means sometimes? That means sometimes that as a parent who's also a man, right? That means I might be someplace and something happens and I get real worked up and I get real upset, because I'm going to tell you, my temper actually really goes just like that. I can guarantee you it does. It goes just like that. But I also, with my quick temper, also need to realize, if I do this, what are the consequences that's going to happen? And I'm not too worried about the consequences from me, because I feel like I can deal with whatever God gonna bring, even though I know I can't, because God will bring your worst fear.
That's a fact.
But even though I feel like I can, it's multiple people who will miss me, and their lives will be impacted and affected by a bad decision that I make.
Teach us. Yep.
So if you can't get it together for you, you need to find somebody who you can get it together for, that you're accountable to.
That's right.
And for God's people, for us, that need to be us. That also needs to be us. Come on.
Verse 5. And if the avenger of blood pursue after him, then they shall not deliver up the manslayer into his hand, because he smote his neighbor unawares, and hated him not before time.
And just think about that, right? So now you know if that avenger of blood comes to that city, now they're protecting this person. The avenger of blood is going to be upset.
Right.
And he going to be upset with everybody in the city who feel like is protecting that person who he feel like did him wrong.
Right.
That sound about right? Remember when in the book of Judges with the Gibeonites and the Benjamites?
Yeah, the Benjamites.
Right, but it was Gibeon. And the Benjamites protected the Benjamites protected those individuals who committed that act.
That's right.
And everybody was against the Benjamites for protecting those people who did that act.
Right.
So I want us to consider that when we protect wicked, nasty, ornery people, you will draw the ire of everybody else.
That's a fact.
And so when you wonder why people don't want to go certain places and why people don't want to do certain things, you need to look at that part, because that part of it is important. Trust me, I understand unity. I understand the need for unity. I understand all of that. Unity is not me coming to a place where you allow any nasty, filthy, grimy individual to come in and sing to God just because they sing to God. That's not that. And I want to make sure I make a clear distinction between the two. Unity, or me being not unified, is not because I make a choice to go to a place whose actions indicated that they have no respect for God.
Right.
That's not me being against unity. That's me being pro-God.
Right.
And so, as we're talking about unity, and as we're talking about unified efforts and all of those different things, I want us to consider that aspect too, because while some of us are woke, right, we still have people who demonstrably indicate that they are pro-nasty people because maybe it's a son, or it's a daughter, or it's a this, or it's a that, and so they're pro-nasty people, and God still comes first.
That's right.
God rules don't change because my son did it. God rules doesn't change because my daughter or my wife or whoever it is did it. Rules don't change just because of who the offender is.
Right.
Come on.
And he shall dwell in that city until he stand before the congregation for judgment, until the death of the high priest that shall be in those days. Then may the manslayer return and come unto his own city, and unto his own house, unto the city from whence he fled.
And I think that I looked at this 6 a couple of different ways. Verse 6. It's verse 6. And where it says, and he shall dwell in the city until he stand before the congregation for judgment, until the death of the high priest. And I was looking at it, and I think that that's probably more so that he shall stay in the city from the time that he stood before judgment until the death of the high priest, because based on everything else that took place, the trial is something that took place immediately. The trial isn't something that gets delayed and pushed back like in America, right? Where people murder somebody and then they don't get to stand trial for another 10 years or 12 years, and somebody has been murdered and they get to enjoy 12 more years of their life. That's not this. That's not this. You know, Emmett Till's accuser just died and lived a whole life, and guess what? She finally admitted on her deathbed. Why? Because she wanted to get right with who she felt like she needed to get right with. And guess what? Some people accepted that. And she got to live a whole nice life. All that. When she caused that boy to be murdered. And so I know it's hard to think about all of those things all at once. But we need to constantly be cognizant of those things. Because as we're constantly cognizant of those things, then we may be reminded, I'm talking about for us here, us now, then as we're constantly reminded, we may remember that God said that he sent us to our enemies to be punished, and maybe we stop looking for favor from people who God said wasn't going to show you no favor. God said it. I mean, does God lie? Nope. Is God a man and he shall lie? God said, and I will send you in the midst of a people who will show you no favor. What you looking for?
That's right.
What you expecting? How you expecting it from them? A people who will, listen, we're in the midst of a people who will lie and change stories around and lie some more and then change the story.
Yep.
I mean, and it be about silly stuff. Listen, everybody knew that submarine crushed that same day. What was that, Sunday? Everybody knew that. The Navy told them that. The Navy told them, we heard our submarines picked up a loud bang on Sunday. A couple of hours after they went down.
Wow.
Yet, they had people sitting on the edge of their seats, watching the TV like this was the OJ trial. Sitting watching the TV because they said on Wednesday or Thursday morning, they was like, they only have a couple of hours of oxygen left. Yeah. We're sure that this is a search and discovery. Recovery. Few more hours left. Few more minutes left. Yeah, the ship blew up on Sunday. We just wasn't really sure. We just wanted to check it out, and all those resources, all the pain of that family that you got worked up thinking that they were going to see their loved ones again when they were sitting in the bottom of an ocean.
For days.
In pieces, a couple of feet or a couple of 100 feet from where the Titanic went down in the first place. Which is, I'm not sure why you would want to be. I wasn't sure even what you're looking for. I just wasn't sure what you're even looking for. People who will lie about everything, anything, everything, and we get fooled every time. We was hyped up for Juneteenth because now they made it a federal holiday and some of us get the day off. God is good. And then Independence Day came around and we hyped up for Independence Day too.
Yep.
Don't mean anything for you. It didn't mean anything for you. Hyped up anyway. Biggest barbecue.
Yep.
Biggest barbecues. All that. Red, white, and blue. I'm not exactly sure how I got here, but it's okay. Come on.
Verse 7. And they set apart Kadesh and Galilee in the hill country of Naphtali, and Shechem in the hill country of Ephraim, and Kiriath Arba the same as Hebron in the hill country of Yehudah. And beyond the Jordan at Jericho eastward they assigned Bezer in the wilderness in the tableland, out of the tribe of Reuben, and Ramoth in Gilead, out of the tribe of Gad, and Golan and Bashan, out of the tribe of Manasseh. These were the appointed cities for all the children of Israel, and for the stranger that sojourneth among them, that whosoever killeth any person through error might flee thither, and not die by the hand of the avenger of blood, until he stood before the congregation.
All right. You have that email? If you could just, yeah, the image, yeah. Can you just, if you could just put it up on the screen? So, and again, we're gonna read through most of this. I'll probably just jump in here and there just to give them a break. But I just wanted to show the image. So this is going to talk about, this chapter speaks about the 48 Levitical cities. And the only thing that I wanted to show is just show exactly what those 48 cities were, and just so you could see how those 48 cities are were scattered throughout the land. Now, mind you, some of the cities were not shown. Some of the cities were not shown on the map, but you get to see a general gist of what we're about to read. So as he's getting that set up, you could.
Chapter 21, hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Then came near the heads of the fathers' houses of the Levites unto Eleazar the priest, and unto Joshua the son of Nun, and unto the heads of the fathers' houses of the tribes of the children of Yisrael. And they spoke unto them at Shiloh in the land of Canaan, saying, Jehovah commanded by the hand of Moshe to give us cities to dwell in, with the open land thereabout for our cattle. And the children of Israel gave unto the Levites out of their inheritance, according to the commandment of Jehovah, these cities with the open land about them.
Okay, hold on. And so if you just take a quick look at the map, so one of the things that you're going to see, I hope I got those colors right. So the Levite colors are red, black, and white, right?
Teach us.
Those y'all colors?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. I just wanted to make sure I got it right.
Yes,
I
sir.
wanted to make sure I got it. You know, at first, when I started to put this together, and I did the colors, and I was like, hold on, I think the Levite colors are red, black, and gray. And then I was like, nah, that's X-Clan. That's not right. That's not right. All right. So the red cities are the cities of the Kohathites. And so you have the listing of the cities there. And the boxes in red are to show exactly where those cities are. The black cities, the cities in black, are those from Gershon. And the cities that are in white are from Merari. So what you're going to see, and again, we're going to read through it relatively quickly. The Kohathites had 23 cities, and their 23 cities came from Judah, Simeon, Benjamin, Dan, Ephraim, and part of Manasseh. And so that's the breakdown of each. So you see, just because of where the location of where those tribes were, you see that most of the cities where the Kohathites were are actually in the south towards the central of the country. When you see those in black, those are the cities from Gershon, and those were the ones that were towards the north and also on the east side of the Jordan, and the ones in white are mostly on the east side of the Jordan from Reuben, Gad, and Manasseh, but you also have a couple from Zebulun as well. And that's just how the breakdown of the Levitical cities are in relation to the land. And this map is actually probably a pretty accurate description of how the lands were allocated. One of the things that I noticed from most maps, you see that Manasseh has two huge portions of land. But when you actually look at the cities, a lot of the cities that are shown in Manasseh's portion are actually cities that belong to other tribes. And if you just remember, the land was supposed to be broken down based on the size of the tribes. So Judah was the biggest tribe, so obviously Judah would have got the most land. Dan was second in the second count. Well, Dan was second in both counts. Judah was first in both counts. And I can't remember who was third in the second count. But that's the breakdown of the Levitical cities and how each one of them are allocated. 23 for the Kohathites, 13 for Gershon, 12 for Merari, and that's how you come up with the 48 Levitical cities. 6 of those cities are the cities of refuge, and when we go through it on Shabbat, you'll actually see where each of the cities of refuge are located. And just to show you how good and how intelligent God is, when you look at where each of the cities of refuge are located, it's in almost an equal space where you can get to any one of those cities from anywhere in the land relatively easily. Come on.
And the lot came
Torah,
out.
you could take it down.
And the lot came out for the families of the Kohathites, and the children of Aharon the priest, who were of the Levites, had by lot out of the tribe of Yehuda, and out of the tribe of the Shimeonites, and out of the tribe of Benjamin, their 13 cities. And the rest of the children of Kohath had by lot out of the families of the tribe of Ephraim, and out of the tribe of Dan, and out of the half tribe of Manasseh, 10 cities. And the children of Gershom had by lot out of the families of the tribe of Issachar, and out of the tribe of Asher, and out of the tribe of Naphtali, and out of the half tribe of Manasseh in Bashan, 13 cities.
Mm-hmm.
The children of Merari, according to their families, had out of the tribe of Reuben, and out of the tribe of Gad, and out of the tribe of Zebulun, 12 cities. And the children of Israel gave by lot unto the Levites these cities, with the open land about them, as Jehovah commanded by the hand of Moshe.
And just to kind of give them a little rest, one of the things that you'll see, there's actually a lot of reminding here. If you notice in the book of Joshua, same at the end of the book of Numbers, you had the daughters of Zelophehad who came up and they said, remember what God said, because we want to make sure that we get what we're supposed to get. Right. You had Caleb who came up and said, look, I was there. God said I was going to get my land. Remember what God said. Same thing here with the Levites. The Levites came up and they said, listen, remember, now that y'all got all y'all land, y'all comfortable and settled in, make sure y'all give us our portion, give us our 10%, give us our Levitical cities, and all those different things, so that we can be a part of the things that God promised as well. Come on.
Verse 9. And they gave out of the tribe of the children of Yehuda, and out of the tribe of the children of Shimon, these cities which are here mentioned by name, and they were for the children of Aharon, of the families of the Kohathites, who were of the children of Lewi, for theirs was the first lot. And they gave them Kiriath Arba, which Arba was the father of Anak, the same as Hebron, in the hill country of Yehuda, with the open land round about it. But the fields of the city and the villages thereof gave they to Caleb, the son of Yefuneh, for his possession.
So even though they gave him that Levitical city, Caleb had actually picked out his land already. Caleb was ready to go. So even though they gave the Levitical city the portion that Caleb asked for, they made sure to give him what he asked for. Come on.
And unto the children of Aharon, the priest, they gave Hebron with the open land about it, the city of refuge for the manslayer, and Libnah with the open land about it, and Yatir with the open land about it, and Eshtemoa with the open land about it, and Cholon with the open land about it, and Debir with the open land about it, and Ain with the open land about it, and Utah with the open land about it, and Beit Shemesh with the open land about it. 9 cities out of those 2 tribes, out of the tribe of Benjamin, Gibeon with the open land about it, Geba with the open land about it, Anatot with the open land about it, and Almon with the open land about it. 4 cities. All the cities of the children of Aharon the priest with 13 cities with the open land about them.
Amen.
And the families of the children of Kohath, the Levites, even the rest of the children of Kohath, they had the cities of their lot out of the tribe of Ephraim. And they gave them Shechem with the open land about it in the hill country of Ephraim, the city of refuge for the manslayer, and Gezer with the open land about it, and Kib-Zaim with the open land about it, and Beit Horon with the open land about it, 4 cities. And out of the tribe of Dan, El Teke with the open land about it, and Gibeton with the open land about it, and Ajalon with the open land about it, Gat Rimon with the open land about it, 4 cities. And out of the half tribe of Manasseh, Ta'anak with the open land about it, and Gat Rimon with the open land about it, 2 cities. All the cities of the families of the rest of the children of Kohath were 10 with the open land about them.
And just to again speak to how well God had this organized, the city of Hebron and the cities in Judah, those are the Levitical cities that the priests got. And it would make sense that the priests would need the Levitical cities that were in the south, that were closer to Jerusalem. Remember, Jerusalem hadn't been selected yet, but God already had it set up that the priests were going to be in the vicinity of Jerusalem. So hundreds of years down the road, when Jerusalem is set up as the place that God is going to place his name there, that they were already set up. Mind you, right now they were in Shalom. God had it set up that God knew Jerusalem was going to be what it was going to be, and he had the priests he gave those cities to the priests. Come on.
And unto the children of Gershom of the families of the Levites, out of the half tribe of Manasseh, they gave Golan in Bashan with the open land about it, the city of refuge for the manslayer, and Bish-Terah with the open land about it, 2 cities. And out of the tribe of Issachar, Kishion with the open land about it, Dobrat with the open land about it, Yarmut with the open land about it, Ein Ganim with the open land about it, 4 cities. And out of the tribe of Asher, Mishan with the open land about it, Abdon with the open land about it, Helkat with the open land about it, and Reho with the open land about it, 4 cities. And out of the tribe of Naphtali, Kadesh and Galilee with the open land about it, the city of refuge for the manslayer, and Kamot daughter, and the open land about it, and Kartan with the open land about it, 3 cities. All the cities of the Gershonites, according to their families, were 13 cities with the open land about them.
Okay, okay. You need a minute, right?
I'm good.
You good? Okay, all right, come on.
And unto the families of the children of Merari, the rest of the Levites out of the tribe of Zebulun, Yokneam with the open land about it, and Kartatah with the open land about it, Dimnah with the open land about it, Nachalah with the open land about it, 4 cities. And out of the tribe of Reuben, Bezer with the open land about it, and Yakaz with the open land about it, Kedimot with the open land about it, and Mifa'at with the open land about it, 4 cities.
Okay, so I just want to, no, actually read Gad.
And out of the tribe of Gad, Ramoth and Gilead with the open land about it, the city of refuge for the manslayer, and Machanaim with the open land about it.
All right, so some people's books might not show Reuben's 4 cities, Bezer, Yahaz, Kedemot, and Mifa'at. So in some books, they actually just put Reuben's portion in because some books actually show Gad twice. Some books actually show it at all, or don't show it at all, but they actually they actually still count the 12 cities. They just leave Reuben out. So I noticed this book actually has it. This threw me off because when I was looking at it this morning again, I'm like, wait a minute, something wrong. Something wrong. But that's actually what happened. So some books actually insert Reuben's portion in here because some books have it missing. Come on.
Verse 39. Heshbon with the open land about it, Yazer with the open land about it, 4 cities in all. All these were the cities of the children of Merari according to their families, even the rest of the families of the Levites, and their lot was 12 cities.
Come on.
All the cities of the Levites, 48 cities with the open land about them, shall be in the midst of the possession of the children of Yisrael. Even these cities, every one with the open land about it, thus it shall be with all these cities. So Jehovah gave unto Israel all the land which he swore to give unto their fathers, and they possessed it and dwelt therein.
And this last part that he's going to read, I just want to bear this in mind because this part applies in all time, in all space. This is why we need to make sure that we keep God at the forefront of our lives.
That's right.
Because when we do, God is going to take care of us.
Amen.
Come on.
And Jehovah gave them rest round about,
Come on.
according to all that he swore unto their fathers. And there stood not a man of all their enemies against them. Jehovah delivered all their enemies into their hand. There fell not aught of any good thing which Jehovah had spoken unto the house of Israel.
Read it again.
All came to pass.
Read it again.
There fell not aught
Not
of
one.
any good thing which Jehovah had spoken unto the house of Israel. All came to pass. Hallelujah.
All honors, praise, respect, acknowledgement, and thanks I offer unto the great King of the universe, to the God of our fathers, to the God of Abraham, the God of Yitzchak, and the God of Yaakov. Thanking him for all things and everything. I bid you in the tongue of our forefathers. Shabbat Shalom L'kol.
Shabbat Shalom.